what we're going to be doing in this video is getting the body prepped for paint, or just prepped in general. I'm going to be going through spot sanding and cleaning any areas that have a more significant amount of surface rust, then laying down a rust reforming primer on those areas and getting it prepped for an actual primer and flat black paint job. So going to be going through doing all that fun stuff, sanding the body, things like that, and there'll probably be some odds and ends along the way, which we'll go over right now. So let's start with the fenders. They appear to have a decent amount of body filler on them. I'm not trying to take it down to metal. So what I'm going to be doing is areas like this, sand it, take off some body filler around the edges, refill it in. This fender here, we've got some rust there, but that should grind off pretty easy. This one, probably tap it out just a little, smooth it. This fender has seen better days, but I'm going to see if I can salvage it. Yeah, it looks like crap. But going to go through, sand it, see if I can get rid of enough rust and put a little bit of metal here and just fill it, move on. This fender has seen better days as well. Same concept, sand the shit out of it, smooth out the metal a little, and make it presentable. We're going for a 20-foot car here. Here's an example of some of the work. Random screws being used as grounds. Same thing here, because I really don't think that's how it came from the factory, but whatever. See a few different colors. We've got some obvious issues here. I don't think the metal's cracked, but I think the paint is toast. Let's see what we can pull off here. Anyway, yeah, so areas like that where the paint's obviously not hanging on anymore, I'm going to try and remove that. This still baffles me. This is clear coat underneath whatever white paint job they did before. So that's at least a couple colors. Overall, not too bad. I mean, gotta go through, sand this, remove the little surface rust, things like that. Get it prepped to, throw some new paint on before throwing windows in. A little more surface rust. Areas I want to spend some time on. Door jamb areas. There you go. Just light sanding. Lay some primer. Some rust reforming. Same thing down here. Well, there's no lighting there, so we've got a similar issue on the front. Can kind of see it's. I'm going to be taking an orbital sander to most of this. Not taking it down to metal, but I am taking it down, making it smooth. Areas like this, where you see rust might be in the little crevices, I'm going to try and clean that all out best I can and lay down a rust reforming primer. Because the whole goal is just to prevent it from any future sand or rusting. Because you can see here, got some rust there, but it's all surface. so should be fairly manageable. The doors were actually in really good shape, so the amount of work needed for those will be paint and the rubbers. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I got lucky. It looked like the pillars, like these areas, were actually pretty solid on this. I don't know if I have an antenna. I will be putting one back on here though. Here's where I sanded. Looks like the front hasn't had as much work. That's not an insane amount of primer or Bondo. So anyway, that's where we're at, and let's get to work. Well, after a little bit of light sanding, encountered one area that I'm going to figure out what I want to do with. So this seems to have a lot of flex. Now I'm not quite sure if that caused the problem, but there's a crack here, and I decided to take all the way down the metal. Looks like, yeah, they did some shit to straighten this metal out a bit. So I'm going to have to see if I can maybe sure this up just a little bit so it doesn't move, so then that way it won't vibrate and, you know, cause another crack in this location. There appears to be a crack here, but yeah, it doesn't move, or I mean the metal moves, but it doesn't appear to be actual crack, so I have no idea. It looks like a crack. It doesn't quite act like a crack, but we'll figure that out. I'm going to have to get a new sanding disc. I want to get about 200 grit, somewhere in that ballpark, so I can go through. But I need to see if I can find like a little pad to go on the disc, because I'm getting no contour around here. I'd like to just be able to go through and be able to get the curves sanded. But the other night, I also went through, laid some rust reforming primer in some areas, obviously not at every area. Got things like that. So yeah, just starting the sanding process and trying to figure out what needs to be fixed as I go. Just like, you know, here, I'll find out more as I sand those. So anyway, back to sanding after I get some new... Okay, trial and error time. I recently just went out and bought this from Harbor Freight. You know, just the variable speed polisher sander. I have a 150 grit disc on it. This thing has a little bit of push. I'm hoping that'll help get around some of the body lines or the curvatures. So let's see how... Well, neither one of those worked as expected. The variable thing It'll just strip the living hell out of the paint, which I'm trying not to go down to metal because I really don't want to know what there is underneath. So, might have to do that anyway. But we'll try a couple other things to get it sanded down, and if none of them work, well, it's getting sanded all the way down, or close. Anyway, let's see what I do next. So, a small little update on the progress. I've went through and, sanded areas down and put some rust reforming primer on the front, sides, and rear. But next I'm going to go through and just patch up these fenders. I mean, it's got that spot there. You see all that ugly stuff there. Definitely ugly right there. So yeah, gonna go through, clean these off, sand off all the rust, put some body filler in. May not be the best way to do it on, how I'm going to do it, but just trying to get the car done and I'm doing my best to try and make it presentable and not where paint's going to come off in the next 6 months to a year. Hopefully the paint will hold up. So just trying to do everything to remove all the crap that can bubble up from underneath. I mean, in the end, like, all these fenders should really just be replaced. That's my opinion. They've been beat to shit. So yeah, we're going to start there. So, not quite sure how I'm going to edit this or yada yada yada. Anyway, my plan was to attack the fenders, get them scruffed up, do all the body work and everything off of the car. Those things are some wobbly ass fuckers. So, what I think my plan is now is I'm going to do some maintenance where they bolt up, so just scruff it up, clean it up, spray some rust reforming primer, and then spray some flat black. I'm going to loosely mount them all on the car without the rubber, just putting them on there to give some form of structure, so that way I can go through sand, body filler, things like that. When it comes time to paint, I'm still going to leave them on the car, but the inside parts are going to be primered for the body part. So I'm hoping to be able to leave them on there, go through paint, and if they're loose enough, this one's got bad brakes. Anyway, if they're loose enough, I may be able to put the rubber gasket that goes between the fenders and that, may be able to slip that in and then tighten them down, and that would be optimal. But we're going to go down that path, so let's get it done. plans. Again, I was going to try and bolt, do a quick sand, quick primer, just on the edges, bolt them up. Problem is, some of them, the paint is so loose, even on the edges, that if I go and bolt it up, I'm not going to properly sand things, remove excess paint and shit like that when it's on the car. So, when I have a table that might end up working, so I'm going to give that a try. Let's see how that goes. So here's another small little update between me trying to do a bunch of things. Yesterday I went through, pressure washed everything, because every time I was trying to wipe stuff off of these panels, it was just dirtying the whole rag up before I'd even get to the real dirt. I mean, this is shit has been sitting around for a while. So now that I've pressure washed everything, well, you probably can't see it in the video, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, anyway, things like the hood. I'm gonna toy around with some different ideas, because that paint was coming off a pressure washer. Just takes a little too long. I'm gonna see if I can use some of the tools I have to more or less kind of chip up all the paint versus using a chemical or sanding, because sanding's a pain in the ass. So yeah, I'm going to go through, do that stuff, and try and get all the body pieces done. The goal between now and whenever my next little commentary is to get the doors installed. So I'm going to sand up the hinges and spray some rust reforming primer and just some flat black and get those installed. And then the hood, remove the emblem, then get all that paint off. The rest of these will be cleaning, sanding, filling in some Bondo just to try and smooth out the bad pieces. So anyway, let's get this shit done. So, small little intermission. Got this thing sanded down as far as I was going to go. There's just a lot of imperfections with this hood. So, the amount of work it'd take me is way too long, and what they want the car for, how they're going to use it. You know, a perfect show quality paint job isn't going to be what happens here. It'll be flat black, so it should hide some of these, But yeah, it works for now. That just took way too long just to get the hood. So with that, got these still. I had to blow them off, pressure wash them and then cover them in dust. Go figure. Yeah, so we will, after this little intermission ends, we will get the doors installed. Got them moved so the chickadee can actually park. But anyway, yeah, doors installed and light sanding, body filler, stuff like that to make the fenders more presentable. So yeah, let's get going. So, due to battery death, this is the end of the video. I've got all of the fenders loosely bolted up. The wife helped me get the doors put on, which was me lifting, her helping get the hinges where they needed to be, and then putting a screw in to hold them. I also went there, sanded the areas, grinded down the areas that I wanted to put some body filler on and get rid of some rust. All of it still looks like crap, but they're on there. The fenders will now hold some structure so I can actually sand. Because with the condition of it, they were too wobbly. Like that right there. It was just kind of killing the structure. So, at least this way I can go through, sand it. I might grind this down and just tack some metal on it. I don't know. Or I'll just body filler it because I really think all the fenders would be better off replaced. So, yeah. And with that, this video is done. Off camera, I'm going to just do the body filler stuff, do some sanding. All stuff that doesn't really make for good video, considering I'm not going to be doing as well as some of the other people out there. So, in my next video, I should be assembling a paint booth in here using PVC pipe and things like that. So, I plan on documenting that, costs, things like that, dimensions, and yeah, hopefully that goes smoothly. But until that video happens, have fun, bye-bye, like and subscribe if you care to. Thanks, have fun.